Shout out to J&J.
So I just want to send a shout out to J&J Sports for having me once again.
Episodes, man. You guys got a real good thing going on.
So we had talked about Mark Gastineau, and he had confronted Brett Favre over sacks.
Right.
And this kind of started a small conversation about how Hall of Famers are usually people w'ho've had like squeaky clean records.
Yeah.
You know, they from the outside looking in, they don't have any issues or anything, and they
Right.
try to not put people who are possible criminals in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
So even an elite player who plays at an elite level, if he does something wrong, he's probably not going to make it in.
Right.
So this kind of had me thinking about NFL Hall of Fame criminals and if there were any in. And actually, there are a few.
Yeah.
Starting with O.J. Simpson, probably the most familiar name on this list.
Oh, yeah.
1985 Hall of Famer.
Mhm.
So what's interesting is they put him in the Hall of Fame before everything happened. This was 10 years before the 1995 murder trial, and world famous, and he was not guilty in that from the murders of his ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and his friend Ronald Goldman.
Mhm.
Afterward, though, there was that civil suit in '97, and the Goldman estate won a large sum from the jury, and Goldman had claimed, the estate claimed he had only paid $123,000 through February of 2021 out of $33.5 million that he owed, and now it's $96 million from the interest alone. So talking about sports and courtrooms in general, is this the most famous trial of all time?
Yeah, it is. I mean, and we looked at other young players coming. I believe you're from the Ravens. Who was the guy beat his white girlfriend?
Ray Rice.
Ray Rice, one of those. It's not a lot out there that really just went viral, but OJ is definitely viral.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Mm-hmm.
And considering he got in beforehand, 10 years before the whole trial,
right.
I mean, that's probably one of the reasons he got in.
Yeah.
But if this happens 10 years before, do you think he's still that Hall of Famer?
Yeah, no, probably not. Because once you do something like that, it taints you. You know what I mean? It don't matter if you multiple rings, Hall of Fame, Pro Bowl, all that gets thrown out the window by one mistake. That's why I tell, like, when we covered the young guys in college and coming up, one mistake could just mess everything up for you. So
yeah, and like looking at this, it seems like if you mess up, you're still in the Hall of Fame, and people can't be thrown out of the Hall of Fame. I was actually kind of curious about that.
Right.
So if any of y'all know if people can actually be removed from the Hall of Fame. But
I guess it depends on the situation. Like, say you were using steroids or cheat. Well, I don't know if you get. I don't know, but that's a valid reason to get removed from the Hall of Fame if you were cheating in any type of way or just not playing right. You know what I mean?
I definitely agree with that. Like if they heard they were betting on the games they were playing.
Right, or just some behind the scenes stuff, getting paid under, weird stuff. So yeah.
So up next is a more recent Hall of Famer, 2013's Hall of Famer Warren Sapp, and according to ESPN, Sapp got charged for soliciting a prostitute as well as a possible assault after a monetary dispute. And this was actually the same night that he covered Super Bowl, the Super Bowl in 2015 for NFL Network.
Okay.
TMZ says that he told authorities he paid $600 to two women for acts of prostitution. He did get a plea deal and pled guilty to one count of solicitation and one count of assault. So could Sapp, have possibly stayed a member of the NFL Network if there was no assault involved?
It could have been a possibility. But I mean, he definitely would have been on eggshells. Like, dude, you just covered on national television, and now you know what I mean? So it's, yeah.
Yeah, it almost seems like it was the assault and the monetary dispute that got him in trouble in the first place. Because if you don't jump to that assault, then you get to just move on with your life.
Because I mean, it seems like pretty much he's pimping basically to women. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much it. Which, I mean, that's normal. I guess, sad but true, normal. But once you do anything with assault, anything battery, assault, yeah.
Yeah, and from my perspective, this was one of the first times I saw an NFL Network analyst or journalist get removed.
Right.
And then up next, we've got former Dallas Cowboy and 3-time Super Bowl winner Michael
Irvin, yeah.
And he's a 2007 Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up getting arrested in a 1996 hotel room with cocaine, marijuana, and 2 strippers.
Wow.
And he ended up pleading no contest to second-degree felony cocaine possession in exchange for 4 years of deferred probation and an NFL suspension for 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
So, looking at this also happened just a few months after the Cowboys' last Super Bowl win.
Yeah.
Do you think people could use Irving's story as a cautionary tale?
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, I'm pretty sure he talks about it now on different networks and stuff like that. But I mean, they were on a different type of timing back then, James. It seems like early 2000s, 1990s. They're on that type of time. So yeah.
Well, yeah. For this one, there's no assault involved or anything like that. It's just a drug charge, recreational drug charge.
Yeah.
And this happened in '96, and 11 years later, they put him in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess this shows that if you do have a criminal record, maybe if it's not anything violent.
Okay, yeah. I'm guessing that seems like that's just the one that is like a no-no. Everything else is like you get a slap on the wrist, you get a few games missed. And a lot of people had their opinions about it, like, okay, well, how come? Because drugs do kill people and stuff like that. Why is it not equal? So it's weird. I mean, how you feel about it, Jen? Do you feel like...
It sounds like he was just having fun in a hotel room.
Yeah.
And, it wasn't like he was cheating or anything, kind of like we mentioned.
Right.
It's not. I don't think cocaine's going to help him out on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, this is an example of them kind of ignoring the fact that he messed up, and they still put him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he's still, yeah. Some people got that leeway. It just depends, because I mean, it seems like once you abuse, even if it's a claim, you're done.
Yeah. The cops came into the hotel room, and he said to them, "Do you know who I am?" And they said yes. Yeah. And this was shortly after his 3rd Super Bowl win.
Right.
And I definitely can't blame him for trying to name drop himself, but he still got in trouble. So does this show that no athlete is untouchable?
Yeah, nobody's untouchable. Yeah.
And looking to our next athlete, we had talked about the Ravens, and this is probably one of the most famous Ravens of all time, Ray Lewis.
Oh, yeah.
He's not a criminal, but he was suspected at one point. He's a 2018 Pro Football Hall of Famer, and in 2000, he got connected and arrested for a double homicide from 2 stabbings outside a nightclub.
Wow.
No proof, so the charges were dropped, and the case is actually still an unsolved mystery. And a quote from Ray here, he says, as Coach Oates put it, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And this was from June 2000. This actually happened at the very start of his career, and him and the Ravens, they won the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah.
And then again at the end of his career. So did it seem like this situation slowed him down any?
No, it didn't. And even if he did it or not, he still, I don't know. I feel like maybe he was just protecting himself. We don't know what happened, if he was getting attacked. We don't know the full story. So it's just like, he could have did it, but he was a smooth criminal if he did. You know what I mean? So, this didn't slow anything down.
I know it probably definitely didn't help, though, I guess.
Yeah.
And this has me wondering, so he stays in that night instead of goes out to the nightclub. What does his career look like, I guess? Is it changed any? Or?
Maybe a few points. But, I mean, either way, he was still a legend. I mean, people still talk about him to this day. So, I wouldn't say that much.
One of my favorite things was his squirrel dance. I remember he was doing it in 2012 before the playoffs. It's like this good, like the slide. That's a lot of fun.
I like the slide and the kick. He has that energy. I love that energy about him.
And then our last person on this list, this one was pretty interesting. So Lawrence Taylor, a former New York Giant, he's a Super Bowl winner, and he's a 1999 Pro Football Hall of Famer.
Yes.
But in 2010, he was facing 3rd-degree rape and soliciting prostitution. And the girl he was with was only 16 years old. So he paid $300 for a hookup and since then, he has denied that it's actually ever happened. And he did speak to Fox News about it. He said, "She told me she was 19. It is what it is. I don't card them. I don't ask for a birth certificate." And from this incident, he did not go to jail, but he did have to register as a sex offender. And in 2011, he was charged with sexual misconduct and patronizing a prostitute. We do still hear wonderful things about Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
And I think it didn't do too much to tarnish his reputation. What do you think?
No, it didn't. It didn't. But like, it's still like, wow. You know what I mean? But nah, I don't think it did.
Yeah. It's strange here, yeah, because it said this happened in 2010, but I remember it in 97 or 98, The Waterboy came out.
Yeah.
And he had a cameo on The Waterboy. So I thought that was pretty interesting. It seems like this happened, you know, way further than 10 years.
Right,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, I think Lawrence Taylor, though, is still legendary and one of the best defensive players to ever play the game.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.
Y'all let us know what you think about, criminals in the Hall of Fame. Do they belong there? And does it depend on what they did?
Yeah.
J&J Sports, coming to y'all with more in 2024.